On this week's Gridiron Report, we have the Detroit Tigers playing absolutely red hot even after selling at the deadline, plus a ranking of Detroit's young cores, and it's all brought to you by our new friends over at Old Glory. Use promo code GRITS, G-R-I-T, for 15% off any product at oldglory.com. Let's get into it.
In the heart of the city where the lights grow dim, grit and grind every inch, every rim, from the underdogs rising to the legends that win. It's the Gridiron Report, let the games begin.
Welcome to the Gridiron Report, your Lions First All Detroit Sports Podcast presented by Mic Drop Studios. Today is Wednesday, August 12th, and we are now one official week removed from the MLB trade deadline. And the Detroit Tigers are absolutely red hot. Obviously, they were pretty hot coming into the trade deadline, but they just absolutely did not skip a beat. And so for guys like you and I who wanted us to do kind of a modified sell, like sell on a few guys, kind of like we talked about how we got our way with the Tarik, with Casey Mize. Personally, I kind of flip-flopped a little bit on Glaber, whether we want to hit him or not. It's kind of becoming the perfect case scenario so far as to how this team is emerging from the trade deadline just 1 week out, right?
It's the perfect storm. Like we sold, we got some pretty good prospects back, and we're still the hottest team in baseball, one of the hottest teams in baseball. And we're looking at like I don't have the odds in front of me. I think we're still probably sitting maybe 30% to make the playoffs, but literally every year, every game, I should say, every day it gets better. This team is red hot since trading Skubal, 7-2 record, going even all the way back to June 1st, 36-22 record, one of the best in baseball over that stretch. And then this team, it's on an actual generational run the past week and a half, just scoring a shitload of runs, and then the pitching has just been nails, man. But run differential now, we talk about run differential a lot. I feel like, us as Tigers fans are kind of toting that. It matters to an extent for sure, but plus 87, that's insane for a team that's still under 500 to have the best run differential in the American League now. So yeah, boys are hot. Don't let the Tigers get hot, man. One game back of that third wild card spot with just the Rangers ahead of us. The Rangers have been hot too. I think they ripped off 4 straight, maybe a few more. But 1 game back of the wild card, 3.5 back of the White Sox in the AL Central. And I think probably last thing, I just saw this stat, franchise record, 7 straight road series wins. This team's just winning, and they're playing good teams. I mean, yeah, the Giants are not great, but you got a team like the Mariners who's frisky, who's probably underperforming too, but they have talent. Go in there, win that series. These guys are just winning ball games, man. It's pretty sick.
What you said, we're how many back from the wild card? We said we're 3.5 back
for the wild card. 1 game back.
1 game for the wild card
for the last spot. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what's more likely, the wild card or the Central, because like you said, this past week, over the last few days, we've jumped a number of guys in the AL Central. We're now second place at the AL Central. According to Google, I don't know if this is true or not. According to Google, we have a 32% chance to make the playoffs right now, which has to be, I mean, it's still not great, but it has to be a lot better than it was going back to May. I believe since May, since we had that historically bad May, we have the second best record in all of baseball, or at least in the AL since that time span over, obviously, the last now 2.5 months. And it is interesting because, yeah, the Giants are on a downward trajectory. They're really struggling right now. But the Tigers never play well out west. It's just, even when we're good, we never play well. It's a huge time zone difference. We never play the A's well out there, and whether we're going to, in Oakland or Sacramento where they are now. And then the Mariners, you mentioned, the Mariners, their offense is anemic. We knew that in last year's playoff series. The offense really struggles, but their pitching is absolute nails. And in the playoff series, we actually avoided one of their best pitchers in Brian Wu. And we didn't avoid them this time. We had to play them, and we still, not only did we beat up on them, I mean, we're putting up insane run numbers. I feel like over the last 10 to 15 games, we've been putting up an average of at least 6.5 runs per game, and it's been more times than not. It's been double figures, 8, 9, and even 10, as opposed to coming away with just 1 or 2. So the offense is just absolutely exploding, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know, as we were getting hot leading into the trade deadline, when kind of was still that discussion, do we sell, do we buy, what do we do? 100%, it was almost all primarily led by the core of McGonigal, Dylan Dingler, Riley Green. Riley's obviously fallen off; he's slumping a little bit here, but it's still being absolutely carried by Kevin McGonigal as a 286 batting average. Dingler with 26 home runs. Dingler, I think, actually just surpassed Jordan Alvarez with F WAR as the best F WAR in the AL. He's not going to win the MVP. I think Jordan has that pretty much locked up. But like Dingler should get some MVP votes, which is just incredible. 80 RBIs on the season. I mean, it's the young guys are playing fantastically, and then you brought up the Max Clarks, who's brought a little pep in his step, and and kind of lessened the blow of losing Tarik Skubal. He's playing well. He's taking his bumps, but he's, again, we talked about him last week. He's having about as good a debut as you can expect, and the weird thing is it's not even the best debut we've seen from a Tiger this season. Not even probably top two best debuts we've seen from Tigers, because you got guys like Eduardo Valencia, who's giving Ding a few days off and propelling this team offensively, giving him, you're losing a little maybe defensively comparatively to Dingler, but offensively you're getting, more than you will with the normal catcher. So it's really exciting. I don't know. You mentioned it's like a generational run. I feel like we've had some pretty insane generational runs, both positively and negatively over the last 2 years. I mean, like 2 years? We had that insane run where we had 0.2% chance to make the playoffs, and obviously then we make the playoffs and had that insane run. And then last year we had the insane negative generational run in which we blew the division there leading down the stretch. So like this team is so bipolar, and I'm just holding on for dear life, dude.
Dude, just going back, like you said, like going back the last 2 years, extremely bipolar, man. Let's just put it in perspective for a second. The run in 2024, the team was 55-63. In August, in early August, finished obviously 31-13, stole that last playoff spot. We are technically in a better spot right now at 58-60 than we were in 2024. And now, do I think that 31-13 is on the table? Like, that is honestly near impossible with the parity of the sport of baseball. Technically, we don't even have to be that good, and we could still go on a run. And 30-35%, whatever the chances are. I mean, I think for me, it looks better than that, considering that you still have the AL Central very much up for grabs, 3.5 games, and nobody in the Central looks particularly great. The Sox are good, but like they certainly don't scare me. And then you look at the wild card, like obviously an expanded MLB playoffs, like as of like 5 years ago or whatever, 3 wild card spots, like it's not inconceivable at all. We're only 1 game back. So yeah, the playoffs were looking good. I mean, in a sport like baseball, you just have to get into the playoffs like year in and year out, or at least most years, and you can go on a run. It's not like a sport where if you get in once, you're going to win it all. It's just, it takes time, right? So yeah, if they can get in, that would be just such a win for me. They did everything right. They traded Scoop, got, the return back. We talked about it last week. I am ecstatic right now. Like, this is exactly what we wanted. And really, I was hurt, obviously, trading Scoob. He just, didn't really do anything with him, best pitcher in baseball. But we might have the best pitcher in baseball still on the team, man. I want to talk about Troy Melton. I want to talk about, like, the Tigers starting pitching in general. I have a stat here, like, literally since Skubal was traded on August 1st, Saturday, August 1st, Tigers pitchers own a 1.32 ERA. That's absurd. And obviously, like you broke it down, like we've won so many games like 10-0. The pitching has been great. It's not a fluke, man. 2.81 ERA since June. That leads the majors by, I think, a pretty wide margin. Troy Melton, his ERA has somehow gotten even better. Last start yesterday, 1 run, 0 earned though, over like 6 innings. ERA's on a 1.46. I saw a stat. There's something about his ERA through the number of starts in his career is like one of the lowest in baseball's history. I think like DeGrom was on the list twice. It's absolutely insane, man. Montero's been great. It's just like across the board. And then you got guys like that are coming back from injury. Like, River Ryan should be hopefully pitching for this team at some point this year. You got Jack Flaherty coming back as well. We know that Jack Flaherty has struggled quite a bit. But I think as of late, he's been a little bit better. You have Framber Valdez, who has been so up and down. You talk about being bipolar. The Tigers are bipolar. I don't think anyone's more bipolar than Framber Valdez. Like, and it's not even just the amount of runs he gives up. Like, if he wants to like throw at someone or not, like it's just whatever. If he wakes up on the wrong side of the bat, he's going to do whatever he wants to do. He's been great, man. I think 2 earned runs in his last 14 innings since the trade deadline. So this team's got the tools, man. I think it just has enough pitching firepower to make a splash, and that's all you need. And then we're raking too. So I'm kind of in love with this team, which is absurd to say.
Yeah, and we'll get to just a preview when we come back from break, a breakdown of like the different major 4 cores for Detroit. And that's why like I felt it was such a perfect opportunity for us to sell but still compete and put ourselves in a great position moving forward. Because you look at the rotation, like Skubal's the best pitcher in the world. Obviously, he would help any rotation. I was not sold on Casey Mize, and I want to get to them and their debuts and our returns and stuff like that here in a minute. But I was never sold on Casey Mize. I'm sorry, I didn't have any faith in him, and I much rather would have done what we did. Because then you look at the rotation, like you said, of having your number one starter, Troy Melton. You already walked through him. I mean, he's an absolute stud right now. And you could look back to last year when at the trade deadline when we were so mad at Scott Harris for not doing more, which we still can be, like we're still warranted. It likely, I don't know if it actually ever came out to be 100% true, but the rumor was that the Diamondbacks, who had Eugenio Suarez, obviously Eugenio wanted to come back to Detroit. He was just mashing home runs left and right last year. We ended up passing on him, and he ended up going to Seattle. He hit a home run against us in the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. The asking price was likely going to be Troy Melton. And at the time, Troy had, I don't know, like 4 or 5 outings under his belt in which like he looked really good and the stuff was really convincing. But I was like, fuck it. Like, the time's now. See ya, Troy. Like, let's bring in the guy who's hitting 1 million home runs and try and win this thing. And obviously, hindsight's 2020. Think, yeah, maybe if we got Eugenio Suarez, maybe we go a little further. Maybe not. Who knows? But like looking back now, like Troy Melton's leading our rotation. So like I said, like ship out Casey Mize, ship out Tarik Skubal. I feel super confident in a rotation of Troy Melton. Jackson Jobe is now back, and he looked really good in his first outing. You already mentioned like Framber Valdez is a guy, like he's shown he can do it in the playoffs. He's up and down, like we said, but he's shown he can do it. So like you kind of just hold your breath for the first inning or two, and then you see kind of what kind of mood he's in, and then you feel okay with that. Kiter Montero's been really good. You already mentioned Jack Flaherty. He can come back and at least provide you some innings or something. You got, I mean, these guys that, remember Reese Olson, for God's sake? I mean, Reese Olson was a legit part of this rotation going back to last year. He got injured, and who knows if he's going to be able to come back and add even more spark to this young roster. And that's not even getting into maybe River Ryan is going to be part of that, or any of these other guys in the minor leagues. So, like, I feel so confident with our rotation, even with having sold out the best pitcher in the world and Casey Mize. Like, shout out to Scott Harris for listening to us. Shout out to us for calling it correctly. Like, ship out these guys, we'll be okay. And shout out the bats, like you said. We're talking about a lot about the pitching and stuff here, but like the bats deserve to be called out as well, because they are looking, I mean, as we mentioned, like they look incredible. Like they are supporting, and it's not two separate things. They play into one another, right? Like you spot your starting pitcher a 4-run in the first inning, he's going to feel a lot more relaxed and be able to spin the ball a lot better. So like they play into each other, obviously, but they're both playing extremely well. And then you put up 8 runs, it makes it that much harder for your bullpen to try and blow that. Not saying that they won't, but it makes it that much harder. So I feel so confident in our rotation. I feel more confident now after having sold off the best pitcher in the world than I did, 2 weeks ago when we still had Tarik Skubal. And that may be crazy to say, but like I feel very confident right now.
Yeah, feeling good. And dude, I just want to say one thing. Just I know we mentioned Jack Flaherty, and I think I've probably been on record saying that he's not had a great season. He's struggled at times. I was just looking at his stats, and the past 5 games, he has allowed 3 or fewer runs. And I think that actually stretches beyond 5 games. I think he has allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in his last 9 starts. So, yes, I think having him back is going to be huge. And yeah, he's really turned it around after a very slow start, which I think it was warranted, the hate that he was getting at the start of the season, but he's definitely turned it around. So shout out Jack, man.
And we'll learn a lot about this team. Like we mentioned, like the Mariners are a good team, but their offense is very anemic. So if you can hit their pitching, you're likely going to win that series. And if you throw out adequate pitching, you win that series. Like I said, the Giants not good, A's not good, Baltimore kind of up and down. So the last few series have been mediocre teams. We're going to learn a lot about this team. So we have Cleveland that is starting, I believe, tomorrow as recording. If you guys are listening to this, we're right in the smack dab middle of that series. Cleveland, White Sox. So immediately, like we'll either be in charge of the division, or we'll stay at the same, or we'll learn a lot about this team in the next just week. After that, then we have Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is getting healthier and getting even better. Then you have Kansas City, Tampa Bay. Obviously, Tampa Bay is really good. The Dodgers, the Twins, Cleveland, the Twins again. So like that's a good 8 to 9 next series that are either against decent to above average in division foes, or just top of the line Dodgers and Rays and stuff. So like the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're gonna learn a lot about this team, and we'll know like were we just absolutely red hot, or is this team actually going to make some noise? I think I'm not gonna lie. When you brought up the 2024 team and the record we had there, and when we went on that generational run, I feel like that did the opposite for me. That like, I know you were saying that's like we're in a better position then, like we can do it. That almost made me feel worse because like that was so generational. There's no way we can repeat that, and we're barely in a better position now than we were then. And we got all these
three full games better. So that's not nothing.
Right, that is not nothing. But we have a tough schedule coming up, so we're going to need to play better than 500 baseball against the interdivision foes that are either ahead of us or still very good and the top of the line in the MLB. So it's going to be tough. It's not going to be it's not going to be a walk in the park moving forward, but we'll learn a lot about these young guys and the pitching and if the bats are for real over the next few weeks.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I think these 3 games with the White Sox, are they our last 3 against the White Sox for the rest of the season? Because
no, we have a 4-game stretch in middle of September. September 17th through the 20th, we have a 4-game stretch at Chicago.
Okay.
It's our last divisional series. We have the Chicago and then the Nationals, and we end the season with Pittsburgh. So it's our third to last series in the season.
Okay, gotcha. So we still have plenty of games with them. Yeah, I think we'd love to take 2 out of 3 here. I mean, obviously a sweep would be amazing, but if you gain any ground this weekend against the Sox, I think it's a huge win.
And I do want to talk real quick now that the dust has settled. Like, I want to touch base on like the actual moves we made. We broke them down a lot more last week of like, the moves, what they meant for Detroit, who we're getting, who we're shipping out, all that stuff. Now that the dust has settled, we've seen a lot of those guys make their debuts with their new teams. You saw Casey Mize make his debut for the Padres. Tarik Skubal made his debut for the Dodgers. We had, and on our side, you had Zaire Hope make his debut for Double-A Erie Seawolves. You saw Brady Smith had his debut, I think, at High A. You had the other guy, Jackson, I forget his last name, who was involved in the Casey Mize trade. Jackson Wolf, I believe his name is, who, if you haven't looked up his delivery, he pitched for the first time. The guy is like, look him up when you get a chance on Twitter. I think his name's Jackson Wolf, the guy we got there. He dances. I'm not joking you. He dances and like gyrates on the mound before pitching. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know if he does it all the time or if it just had like fucking ants in his pants or something. It was very bizarre. Are you watching?
What
right
am
now?
I looking at here?
It's weird. Look it up for our listeners. Look it up on Twitter. Jackson Wolf. I don't know if it's his normal wind up, but he dances on the mound before he pitches.
I couldn't have said it better. He's got ants in his pants, man.
It's very bizarre. But all that to say, we were now seeing all of these guys make their debut. So I just kind of want to break down those debuts, what we saw immediately, kind of what we thought and have learned since the dust has settled in all of these moves. And then I have a grievance with one individual fan base here towards the end of this little spiel. So we saw Casey Mize in his first outing with the Padres get absolutely blown up. I think he only lasted 3 innings, gave up, I believe, 8 earned runs. I might be inflating that a tiny bit, but it was a really tough inning for him, or a tough outing, I should say. His velo was down again, and if you look back to his last 7 or so starts with Detroit, his velo has dropped every single time, and that's why I'm so glad. Casey seemed like a good dude. Him and Tarik were best friends. I have no ill will against the guy. Obviously, I would never wish any injuries on everyone, but I'm so glad we got out on the Casey Mize stuff because he looked like he was going downhill here in Detroit, and then he got absolutely torched for the in his debut with the Padres.
Yeah, 3 1/3, 9 hits, 8 runs, 8 earned, 3 walks, 1 strikeout. Gave up a dinger as well. Yeah, that's
not great.
It's a tough one.
If you're the Padres, and the Padres general manager is known, AJ Preller is known for, he's like Dave Dombrowski. Not so much Dave Dombrowski that Dave would always go star hunting and get the big names. AJ Preller is just, he's just aggressive as hell. He is not afraid to throw his chips on the table, and he'll go out and get anyone. He gave up his number 1 overall prospect last year for Mason Miller. Obviously, Mason is an insanely good reliever. But if you're the Padres, you're looking at that and you're like, damn it, that, and a lot could change. It's the first time he's probably in a hotel somewhere, he's away from his family. A lot could change, but that was a really tough look for the Padres. And then you had Tarik Skubal had his first outing for the Dodgers. Now, obviously, he didn't look as bad as Casey Mize. He did give up a home run. I think it was a classic Tarik this season. From everything I saw from it wasn't absolute dominance like we've seen the last 2 years. But I feel like this year, the spot, other than a few different outings from Tarik, it's been like really, really good stuff, but not absolute dominance like we've seen the last few years from him. And I think that's kind of what we saw in his first outing for the Dodgers too. I don't have his line in front of me. I don't know if you have it, but
yeah, six innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and a
so
dinger,
a really good stat line, but like in my opinion, not best pitcher in the world stat line. And so we had those two going out. Then you had the guys coming in. We already mentioned Jackson Wolf and his weird dancing on the mound. I don't have his stat line in front of me. Brady Smith had his first outing for high A or single A. He looked pretty good in his outing, but the guy that obviously we've had a few different games under his belt now in our system is Zaire Smith. Obviously the cream of the crop in that the Tarik Skubal trade for Erie Seawolves. He's had now 5 games, 23 at bats or 23 plate appearances. 19 at bats. He has 2 runs. 1 hit. He has 2 RBIs, 6 strikeouts. Not great striking out. We talked about his contact rate was a little bit high, but he's been working on that. His batting average over those 5 games just 0.53, so not great. He does have a home run under his belt. I think he has 1 official home run, and then he had another one that I believe was robbed at the wall. So I think he, a really good contact there. He had a put out defensively in which he gunned it in from the outfield and got the guy at home, throwing to Jose Buesino, who's another prospect, just got promoted to AAA. Toledo, he put out at home, so decent defense. But so far, just able to hit a home run in his first 5 games. I know the average isn't there. I think he, again, like the pitchers, he's still trying to figure things out. But he saw the home run again, and it probably should be 2 home runs. Got a steal against him. So Zaire's making his way, getting used to the AA Erie team there.
Yeah, Zaire Hope, and I'm not worried at all about like a 5-game stretch, sample size so small there. And we could say the same thing about everything we just said with Casey Mize and Tarik Skubal too. Like, it's 1 start. It's certainly not like a trend or anything like that. But
right,
yeah. What I did see from Hope, which was the highlights, the highs of the highs.
Right.
The dinger looked good. The put out was awesome. So yeah, it's he's gonna be just fine. I know. It might be the homer in me saying that, but I'm pumped that he's in our system. I'm pumped that he's our number 1 prospect now. I'm pumped that we got some really good value out of Tarik, and we just got to go from there.
I will say this: we declared him, and I think rightfully so. I think MLB, I don't have it in front of me. The MLB prospect, I think, also has him as a number 1 prospect. But I've seen online a lot of people like, after the trade deadline, all the smaller publications also have their, top 100 prospects. They're all updating their numbers, with all the prospects being moved around. A lot of people have Jose Buesino as our number 1 prospect, jumping Zaire Hope. And so I don't know. We'll see. But I do want to say one thing. I've been seeing a lot online about the trade, and admittedly, over the last few days, it started to die down. It's starting to become a little bit old news as we get further and further away from the deadline. But I have a gripe to pick with the Milwaukee Brewers fan base. So I don't know if you've seen online, the Milwaukee Brewers fan base are absolutely crying left and right about us dealing with the Dodgers. They are convinced that there is some sort of collusion going on because we dealt with the Dodgers. They are pointing to a few different things. One, they're pointing to the fact that we did this deal on Saturday and didn't wait till the last minute. And they're saying like, well, why did they just pick the Dodgers and like not wait till everyone else's like final offers and stuff? And they just let it rip on Saturday. They're pointing to their supposed prospects, reported offer for Tarik Skubal, saying that they think that package was better. And so all that. And I just want to say, first and foremost, stop fucking bitching about this. Like, A, it's over and done with. And don't be pointing fingers, being mad at us because your franchise and your front office wouldn't go all in for the best pitcher in the world. We're from Detroit. We know what it feels like to be right there and be a really good team and just want your team to go out and get the number 1 guy who's available at the deadline and have your front office not do it. We know how that feels. Don't point at us saying, it was our fault. Be mad at your own front office for not doing it. And same kind of goes for the rest of the MLB, saying like, oh, the Tigers kind of screwed the whole MLB because they traded Tarik to the Dodgers. If you didn't want us to trade him to the Dodgers, you should have beat their offer and should have made us want to trade with you. The rule, the ask for the Tigers, and this was constant, that we wanted an MLB-ready arm along with, top prospects, or if you weren't going to give us that, like you needed to blow us away with the prospects you were going to offer us. Meaning, if you're not going to give us an MLB-ready arm, we better be getting your number 1, your number 2 overall prospect, and it better like blow us away in that regard. And that's obviously we went with the ladder there with the Dodgers. We got an MLB ready arm in River Ryan. I'm not here to listen whether you think he's MLB ready or not. He's 27 years old. He had great stuff in his 4 outings coming back from injury. He's going to be in the MLB when he comes back from the AAA IL. Like, he's MLB ready. Don't give me that. And then obviously Zaire Hope, that was the top 5. A guy that it's weird that he was top 5. He probably would have been number 1 in a lot of different prospect pools. The Brewers, a lot of different reports that come out about what they offered. I've seen the most likely report from like Passan and a bunch of the guys like that are actual in the know. They are telling us that Logan Henderson, who is the Brewers' basically top young pitcher, he's like a Troy Melton right now. Very, very good, young, controllable, MLB ready arm. The Brewers said Logan Henderson was not available, which is fair. Like, I get that. I probably wouldn't want to deal him either. And their top prospect, and Jesus, was also not available. I've actually heard their top like 1 to 2 to 3 prospects were not available. So how can the Brewers be mad at us when we said like, okay, we want top MLB ready arms or your top prospects? And they're like, okay, well, you can't have our MLB ready arm, and also you can't have our top prospects. Well, then why would we go deal with you? Why would we not go to who's going to offer us what we wanted in MLB ready arms and, near top prospects in the Dodgers? So I'm all the PSA, all the Tigers fans, like, you guys can zone out here for a second, turn us down. Just talking to the Brewers fans, the 1 to 2 maybe that we have listening. Shut the fuck up. Stop talking about this and just be mad at your own organization. Don't be mad at the Tigers saying there's some sort of collusion and it smells fishy. You didn't give us the offer we wanted. We went with the offer that we asked for, and you lost out. I'm sorry. But I'm so tired of reading about the Brewers fans. They're just crying so much online.
Yeah, dude, bitch boys. I have not seen that, thankfully, because otherwise I probably would have gotten like big mad for no reason. But I mean, if they're mad, then yeah, like you said it perfectly, Tyler. But like, dude, pony up, like pay more. If you wanted him, you should have went all in and got him. I think it's also just a fact of like basically their top 2 prospects. They're both, I think, middle infielders. And those are really the only 2 Brewers prospects they have in the top 50. And so I know for us, I mean, those guys were probably off limits. But even if they were, I mean, I'm not saying the Tigers wouldn't have gone for him. Obviously, Jesus made number 1 prospect. Like, we would have been licking our chops. But assuming he was off, but like maybe if they were flirting with like Luis Pena, still a top 20 prospect. He's an infielder. It's not necessarily a position of need. Again, like Tigers probably still would have done the deal if the deal was right. But I know they were looking for, outfielder prospects to replace the Max Clark that you just brought in. So maybe it was just a fact that, the Dodgers just had more to work with. But, yeah, Brewers fans, fuck off, dude. Worry about your season. I mean, you're having a great season. Stop being big mad at us. Go beat the Dodgers, man. If you're pissed at the Dodgers, go fucking beat them. You can't, but, like, go try.
Yeah, apparently their offer had Luis Pena in it, but it didn't include, like I said, if you're not going to give us your top prospect, you got to be able to include that MLB ready arm, and probably it's going to be Logan Henderson. And they just said no to both. Like, you're not getting our number 1 guy, and you're not getting our number 2, 3 guy and a MLB arm. So, we asked for this, you didn't give us it. We went to where we got it from. So, like you said, I probably shouldn't have seen it all online. I did. I got big mad about it. I didn't realize I had so many Brewers fans on my timeline, but I somehow ended up getting them all on my timeline. So I wanted to take this second to be like, you and the rest of the MLB, don't be mad at us for dealing with the Dodgers. And then suddenly, disparaging our package that we got, putting River Ryan down, putting Zaire Hope down because he wasn't the top outfielder. We talked about that all last week. Go back to last week's episode if you want our thoughts and opinions on it. But like, just because you didn't up their offer, don't come at our don't diminish what we got and the guys that we got. Like, we're happy with them. Had to get that off my chest as we're starting to see these guys, be intertwined into our prospect pool, and we're seeing all these teams finally start to settle after the trade deadline. You got anything else about the Tigers being red hot, the gritty Tigs, or the MLB trade deadline kind of settling here before we go to a quick break?
Just don't let us get hot, man. And you might already did. Might already got it.
Might be already too late. It might already be too late.
Too fucking late. Yeah, let's go Tigers, baby.
Okay, let's go to a quick break then, and then when we come back, we're going to rank the top 4 teams in Detroit based on where their young core sits. All right, we are back. Okay, so Kyle and I just talked about, for 30 minutes there about how the Tigers are playing this perfectly with their young core, and it does obviously help that the young core is performing so well. Kevin McGonigal's in true MVP, I should say Kevin McGonigal and Dylan Dingler are both in true MVP races. McGonigal's running away with the AL Rookie of the Year. Max Clark having a good debut. Eduardo Valencia. Like, this team is so young and so exciting. I think I texted you in our group message about, like, this is the most excited and hopeful I've been about the Tigers in a long time. And it got me thinking, like, which team here in Detroit, out of the Pistons, Tigers, Red Wings, and Lions, do I feel the most confident for the future, in both, near future, but also into years 3, 4, 5 years down the line from here, based on talent, abundance of talent, age, money, position, salary, all that stuff. What do I feel most comfortable and most excited for? So I thought it would be fun if we rank just obviously 1 through 4, 1 being the best, 4 being the worst situation as it relates to our young core nucleus. And then as we kind of, go through those, we can chat real quick about that nucleus, who we think is in that nucleus, why we think it's so good, so bad, where it falls, and stuff like that. So let's do this kind of similar to how we did a few weeks ago when we broke down the Lions position groups as they started training camp. We're just going to start with our number 4 spot, meaning out of the 4 major sports here in Detroit, they have, in our opinion, the worst young core. Not saying it's the worst. Maybe we'll put it like in where we think it fits like entire league, whether we still are good in the rest of the league, just not here in Detroit or whatnot. But I feel like we have to have the same number 4 here as when it relates to young core, right?
Yeah, we definitely do. And I think before we touch on our beloved Red Wings, I just want to say, like, preface it, like, young core, obviously young is like pretty subjective. What the hell is young? But for me, like, I'm looking at a guy like, if you're like 25, maybe 26 years old and younger, for me, that's still young. And it kind of changes. The bar changes a little bit depending on sport, right? Mm-hmm. Hockey, a lot of times, like, you're spending time in the AHL. You're not like coming up to a little later. Football, a lot of times you're drafted at like 22, 23. Obviously, like, baseball could be different. So, like, yeah, young it's subjective, but, like, I think your young core when you see it. Even like Dylan Dingler, for me, it's fringe because he is like 27 years old, but still he's in his like second full season, third full season, whatever it is. So, like, I would still put him in the young core. So yeah, just wanted to preface that. Like, obviously we're not like putting like 32-year-olds into this like young core. Like, you know the young guys when you see them. So
yeah, for sure. It's one of those things when you see them. I also like, because I was thinking about this the other day, in a sense, and it's not very fair to teams like I guess technically the Pistons have this, but in a very different sense. But the Lions obviously don't. But like in a sense, in the back of my mind, part of the young core, I think it's impossible to not think about like the minor league system, and like whether you're talking about the Grand Rapids Griffins or the Tigers, AA and AAA, the prospects that they have, and because that's like, in my mind, that's hard to separate our young core when you have top guys coming in too. So this is all subjective. It's all supposed to be a little bit fluid. I'm kind of going off of like basically guys that I don't personally think that they're in their prime yet. Like they're still playing super well. They're making not a whole bunch of money in most cases, but most importantly, like they're playing well and they're excelling, and they're not even in their prime yet. It's kind of like where I'm going off of here.
Yeah, or I would say very beginning of prime. Like that's kind of the cutoff. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So number 4, you already mentioned, got to be the Red Wings, right?
Buried the lead a little bit, but Red Wings. I mean, the core. There is a core. Like, I'm not going to say it's like worse in the league. We do have some talent. I mean, like Lucas Raymond is incredible. He's 24 years old. He's damn near our top scorer. I think he is our top scorer. You got Mo Sider, tremendous young defenseman in this league. He's probably going to win a Norris at some point, or at least he has a pretty decent chance. And so, like, yeah, that's pretty incredible when your young defenseman is, he has that type of ceiling. Simon Edmondson, again, young, a little bit younger even. Still very solid young defenseman. So you could probably, you're throwing in like a Marco Casper as well. ASP, Palinka, Emmett Finney is super young, but he's shown flashes already in his first season, his rookie season. Like the core has some depth, but in general, when stack it up against the rest of, not only the rest of the league, but the rest, we were looking at, the Lions and the Tigers and Pistons, and it's not nearly as good. I mean, the future is, I'm not going to say it's bleak. It has some talent, but like it's just not as good of a future as the rest of the Detroit sports teams in my opinion.
100%. And hand up, this might be because just, I mean, and I don't want to speak for you. I mean, and we've been very transparent about this. Like the Red Wings and the NHL is my least watched sport. So being able to compare it to a lot of the other young cores in this sport is a little more difficult for me. So maybe that's just an unfortunate side effect of why I would put them at number 4. But I think you said it perfectly. I think we have great pieces. I think you have, in my mind, a top 2 in your young core in Mo, in Lucas Raymond. And then after that, then you have a bunch of guys that, like, okay, we see the potential. Like, these guys could end up being, franchise leaders like Mo and Rays in, like you said, in Marco Kasper, in Emmett Finney, in, Simon Evanson. And so, like, we have those guys, but I think I just need to see a little bit more from those guys in order to, like, feel confident to add them into that kind of tier number 1 for me, and that Mo and Lucas are absolutely in. And I think maybe that's a good way, just like thinking out loud. How many guys am I putting in, like, the tier 1 pillars of the franchise moving forward? And I only see 2 here on this team. And so I think the team reflects that. Like, I think we've said that for a while. Like, there's a lot of young guys. Like, we have, good goalie play in with the Griffins. And so there's a lot of young guys that, like, should hopefully will be able to showcase and be part of that moving forward. But we got to figure out where they kind of fit, and then we also have to pair some veteran, expertise and leadership with these guys. So I think I'd be curious to see when we put this out on social media what everyone else thinks. If it's kind of like a consensus, Red Wings are number 4, because I could see some hockey heads maybe arguing that because of the unfair advantage of having a minor league system and, like, being like, well, yeah, we got these guys though that are great prospects. They haven't shown like they're part of this core. Or more promising core than probably this team we're going to get to here in a second. Maybe some hockey heads would think that the Red Wings are number 3 instead of number 4. But yeah, we're both in lockstep there. At least for us, Red Wings are number 4 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, moving right on. This is where it does get hard for me. The thing is, when we're looking at these 2 sports, the windows are just so different because, like, I mean, you look at football for me, and I am going to put the Detroit Lions in my 3 spot. It's just that, like, careers are so much shorter in football. I think that makes your window, like, just that much harder. And, like, your young core in, like, 2 years, those guys, like, might be, like, in their prime to, like, somehow past their prime. Like, it's just football it's just such a different beast. The landscape just changes so much more for me. And so for that reason, it's like one reason, I am going to put the Lions at my 3 spot here. But I will say, just night and day difference between the Lions and the Red Wings for me as far as, like, the core. Just, you look at just the absolute studs that we have at their age. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs just got paid, buddy, and we're gonna talk about him maybe a little bit later. I think it's probably no secret he might get a grid of the week or 2 out of that. But yeah, you got Jahmyr Gibbs at 24. He's already, like, best running back in the league. He's insane. 3-time Pro Bowler, 49 touchdowns so far in his career. Like, I mean, it's absurd, man. He could do it all. You got Penei Sewell, also basically the best at his position, if not the best. Right tackle, left tackle. He's just incredible. Brian Batch coming off an injury, still one of the best safeties in the league. You have Sam Laporta, who, up and down, a little bit of a down season with an injury, still, touted as a top 5 tight end in the league, fringe top 5. Got guys like Jameson Williams, even Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know if you can even put him in the young core because he is such a veteran on our team right now, but still just 26 years old. I would throw him in there at, like, the very edge of the young core. Rookies from last year, it's, to be seen. I'm not necessarily going to, like, say, Isaac Tesla, you're incredible right now. I think he could be. I think he's definitely has upside, but we haven't seen it yet, so. Hutch, I don't know how I've gotten this far in this rant without even talking about Hutch. Again, a guy who, like, yeah, he's certainly a veteran on this team, but still he's relatively young and one of the best at his position. So, man, as I'm saying this, I'm kind of almost a little bit pissed I have them at 3 and not higher, but I already said it, and so yeah, Lions are 3 for me, but the window is still there. It's not closed. There's haters that are going to say it's already closed. It may be more closed than it was like 2 years ago, but we still have a hell of a team, and we can make noise.
That was a hell of a roller coaster for me because I didn't think you were going there. I thought you were gonna go. I thought for sure we at least had the same one here. B, then I was starting to think like, oh shit, maybe he is right. Maybe the Lions should be number 3. And then as you were going through the Lions, you convinced me back that I was right and that I think the Lions aren't number 3. And so I just went up and down and back and forth because I'm going to disagree. And this pains me because this is we're the Lions. We're a Lions first podcast. We love the Lions, but I have a special love affair with the Pistons. But I got to put the Pistons at 3, and it's an impossible task because, like we said, there's so much subjectivity to this, and there's so many different variables at play. The amount of guys on the team, and whether you think it's like because I think the Pistons have the best overall player on their team in Cade Cunningham. Like he is a true MVP. I mean, damn, he's a true. I mean, we have other true MVP, potentials in Detroit. We talked about Dylan Dingler earlier and stuff, but like Cade has done it for over a season now. Like it is a very, very good likelihood that he will win an MVP in some season. So like I think Cade is the best athlete in Detroit. But I think then is like a little bit of a drop off, and that's why I'm putting the Pistons at 3. And it pains me to do so. Cade is incredible. He's going to win an MVP in his career. Asar Thompson is going to win a Defensive Player of the Year, and I think our core there is Asar, Cade, and Jalen Duren. I think we're not going to get into that right now. Jalen Duren deal is going to get done eventually. Those are your 3 core guys, and obviously it's a lot less than like the Lions, like you just mentioned. But I think Cade is the number 1 guy.
5 starters versus
that's what I'm saying. So it's so
the ball. Like
it is hard. It is hard to how do you weigh that? But I just think that Cade and I would even say like say Asar had more of an offensive game and like was a true like all NBA second all NBA team player, then I think they would leapfrog my next team there, and that would put them above because Cade's that good. You get like one more guy that is like head above all the other players. Like Asar is incredible defensively, but his offensive limitations just hold me back from like saying how good of a core player he is. Jalen Duren is a really good traditional big man, but his playoff experience, his playoff performances, and his lack of like any sort of play away from the basket when it matters really holds me back as to why he wouldn't be higher on this list. So I got to go Pistons with my number 3 overall core. It's close. I agree with you. Like, there's a cutoff. Like, I think you and I are on the same page. The Red Wings were easily 4. And then it starts getting really close. So, like, it was Red Wings way up here at number 4, or I should say way down here at number 4. And then a big gap. And then I have Pistons starting at number 3 there.
Yeah, just for me, having the Pistons at 2, I mean, you pretty much just explained it. But just, you got 5 guys that are starting. Obviously, like, bench is important too. But, like, for me, just having a true MVP caliber, and you already mentioned it, but having Cade, true MVP, and then a guy with just such high defensive ceiling, Asar Thompson, who like is still only 23 years old, and like that's where I was talking about, just the window of opportunity in a sport like basketball. It's just so different than a sport like football, where like football, like you get in the league at 23, and by like 26, 27, you could be out already. I mean, it's just so hard on your body. Basketball's just not that way. Like Asar Thompson is already, going into his 4th season now, still only 23 years old. He is still getting so much better every year. It's the difference in sports for me. And so because you have 3 guys, and I am putting Duren, firmly in there as well, the quote unquote big 3 of young talent for me, just having a big 3 there that are all under the age of 25, it just screams like elite young talent right now. There's definitely a drop off as far as like depth, where like I'm certainly not sold on Ron Holland. I'm not necessarily sold on like Danis Jenkins. Both those guys are 20, 21, and 25 respectively. Like even Emeka Okori, like you don't know what you're going to get out of him. Obviously, you just drafted him, but like I just think it's enough. Like Cade and Asar and Jalen Duren for me is just slightly edging. Pause. I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, slightly better than the Lions young core for me.
And and I get them at 2 because we just flip flop those because I have the Lions at 2 for a lot of the reasons you said, and it's unfair to the Pistons probably in my case because I have Lions at 2 just because there's more. I think that the best overall player and for all the teams like I mentioned is Cade, but the Lions just have a better depth just because there's more. There's more positions filled. I think they had what I would consider. We already went to what I consider the Pistons core of Jalen Duren, and Asar Thompson. The Lions core, and you mentioned like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I put him fully into that core, the young core, still young, still into the beginning / into his prime. So you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. You mentioned I think Sam Laporta, like you mentioned, up and down, but I still would put him in our young core, and he's still a top 5 at his position. I think Brian Branch, fully healthy, is obviously top 5 at his top 3 at his position. I'm kind of a Kirby Joseph hater a little bit. Even when he is healthy, I think he's a little bit of a stats guy, a ball hawk. But when healthy, he's still part of this young core. He's got the needs of a 50-year-old, but he's still a young player. You got all these younger guys. Penei Sewell is obviously top of his position. You got all these guys that I think overall we have more of the top players in their position for the Lions, and then obviously the Pistons do. And I think per capita, you kind of have to like get scientific with that in that regard of like to see how you kind of weigh those things out. But I think that's why I'm going to put the Lions at 2. I think we had the most top 100 players comparatively, which is, again, not fair, but I think that they just dominate. And I'm actually, like I said, I'm surprised. I thought for sure it was going to go, like I thought maybe 1 and 2 we would flip-flop a little bit. I didn't expect 2 and 3 to be flip-flopped here.
And now I'm almost like, I'm second-guessing myself a little bit. Like if you're, you talk about a young core, like in 5 years, when like all of these guys are going to be like into their prime and then probably past their prime at that point, sometime in the next 5 years, like which team, the Lions or the Pistons, do you think is a better shot of winning a championship in that 5-year window? And for me, I think it's probably the Lions over the Pistons. So I don't know, maybe I'm just contradicting myself, but just another little tidbit for the viewers. Like which one, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a great point. And there is no right answer because, like I said, there's so much variety and so much variability that there is no right answer. So it all comes down to depth and what you think is more important. And is 3 is 1, absolute gold diamond player plus 2 silver players better than 1 gold player and a handful of guys that are middle tier to top of the tier for their position. So it's all up in the air. But, okay, so then that leaves us with our number 1 best core, which makes sense as to why we thought about this here and now with this young core that we have out there in the MLB field, that we have in the prospects farm. And again, that's a little bit unfair to teams like the Lions who don't have a prospect system, don't have a farm system. But number 1 young core got to be the Tigers. I mean, we mentioned this is the most excited I've been for a team, specifically the Tigers, in a long time. Just at the MLB, like I'm excited. You could probably even argue like you could split their farm system and their MLB roster and argue like and fit like one of those in our top 4 too. And I think probably both of them would still be above like the Red Wings in that like the MLB level. We talked about the young pitching core, guys that are still well below, not in their prime yet, or still have their prime to look forward to, but are still operating like that. We already mentioned the Troy Meltons, the Jackson Jobe, who came back and looked really good. Kiner Montero's only like 25, 26 years old. He looks really good. If he's not going to be able to keep up what he's doing now, he's definitely still going to have enough stuff to be a long reliever. And you look at the bats, the McGonagalls that look insane. The Dingler, like you already mentioned, he's 27 years old. He spent some more time in the minors, went through a 4-year degree at Ohio State, but like he's still arguably playing enough where I would probably put him right at the edge of our core. Riley Green, up and down, but still a 3-time All-Star. These guys are. Colt Keith is quietly doing a lot of good things. I feel like Colt Keith kind of gets swept under the rug a little bit just because we have so many young guys that are like just at the MLB level. That in itself is so young and such a great sign of what's to come. And that's not even looking at the guys that I would consider the minor league guy or minor league guys, and kind of Eduardo Valencia is kind of in there just because he still has just barely made his debut, but he looks really good. Max Clark, you can kind of put him in whatever camp you want. He looks really good and young and is performing. Air Hope, we talked about him. Obviously, he's number 25 in the MLB prospect list. Bryce Rainier, the shortstop we took in the draft last year, still at high A ball, but is the 35th overall prospect in the MLB. Looks really good. Got shut down with an injury last year that kind of slowed him down, but looks good coming back this year. Josue Bersinho, already mentioned, 54 in MLB's prospect list. He just got promoted to AAA. I mean, it's only a matter. Everyone's already calling for him to come up and take Torkelson's job at first base because Josue is he's a catcher. but he kind of doesn't have great defense. He's kind of a slower guy. It kind of makes sense that he's going to eventually be moved off of catcher into first base or DH. Kind of very similar to an Eduardo Valencia kind of guy, but Bassinio's playing really, really well. River Ryan's been thrown into there. Like, you have all these guys that are just, again, you could split the minor league system and the MLB system and both have very, very promising young cores. And that's not even the last thing I was mentioning before I get your thoughts on it. That's not even mentioned. I believe last year, Troy Melton, and I'm actually going to look this up right now. Last year, Troy Melton, as a prospect for us, was Detroit's. Let me look at this real quick.
If memory serves, he was like maybe like a fringe top 10 prospect for
Troy
us.
Troy Melton last year, who we were mentioning, is easily the best pitcher in our rotation this year. He's one of the top pitchers in baseball right now. Troy Melton was our 13th overall prospect last year. Not 13th in the MLB, 13th in the Detroit Tigers system. So like I just went through all that major league talent, all the minor league talent of like our top 5 to 6 guys. Who knows if we have another Troy Melton in the teens somewhere in our system. Like it's so promising and so exciting, and we threaded the needle perfectly with the Tarik trade. Easily number 1 for me.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. First of all, well said, dude. I mean, what more could I even say right now? I mean, the future's so bright for this team. This team's so young, just playing so well on pretty much every facet of the game. And then you still have a very solid minor league system that, like, yeah, we've promoted like Kevin McGonigal and Max Clark. Like, those guys were obviously the headliners. You got to, restock the cupboard. We did with the Tarik Skubal trade. We're kind of doing everything right now. And still in a win now mode. It's sweet to see, like you said, absolutely threaded the needle. I think you mentioned everyone. If you haven't, just one more shout out to How You Lee, 23 years old. He's just playing extremely well.
How can I forget him?
You did mention Jackson Jobe, still only 23 years old, former number 3 overall pick. I mean, I think we took him really high, right? So yeah, man, it's a series of great drafting, but also it's a volume thing too, which is great because, like, yeah, MLB prospects, they bust more than any other sport. I mean, it's just you never truly know. You could have the diamonds in the rough, like your Troy Meltons. You can also have number 1 prospects that really never do anything. It's like it's definitely a double-edged sword, could go either way. But just the fact that, I mean, the volume alone, like, we don't need every single one of these guys to hit. We're just in such a good position right now. But yeah, you still, like you said, you have Zaire Hope and Bryce Rainier and Jose Briseño, River Ryan still, like, in your system. And so even though you did promote a lot of guys, your team's so young, you still have probably a top 5 farm system in the league. Future's bright, man. I mean, the Tigers are just in such a good position. They don't have to completely leverage their future. They can go out and spend in free agency in the offseason, get better where they need to, and get right back to a win now mode next year. And that's not discounting what might happen this year. Love the core. Tigers are just doing everything right now. So yeah, shout out to management there. Scott Harris. I mean, he's not going to say he's been perfect, but he's been pretty damn good since arriving. So let's go Tigers, baby.
Yeah. Okay. But let's begin to wrap up our show with our grits of the week. Before we do that, Grit of the Week is always brought to you guys by Old Glory, our friends over there at Old Glory. Old Glory offers 300,000 items for music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture fans, featuring officially licensed merchandise from iconic bands, top sports teams. Discover your perfect fan gear and save with our exclusive discount, GRIT, that's GRIT, at oldglory.com for 15% off any purchase. Again, that's oldglory.com. Use promo code GRIT for 15% off any purchase. Kick us off, Kyle. Grit of the week. Who are you going to go with this week?
Going with the man. Pretty easy one. Again, if I'm taking low-hanging fruit, I apologize. Thank you, as always, Tyler, for letting me go first and getting the easy ones off. But yeah, I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs, baby. Just absolutely paid. And we knew it was going to happen. We knew that the holdout wasn't going to last much longer, especially after Bijan got paid a couple days prior. The highest paid running back now in NFL history. I actually should have all of the stats up in front of me, the numbers, but I think it's about 76 mil over 4 years. But what I did see, just another Brad Holmes masterpiece. Most of that money is backloaded. Not much dead cap in the way of years 3 or 4. I think there's actually a team option in after year 3 of this new agreement. So it's really smart. Obviously backload that. You never know what's going to happen. There's still guaranteed money. I think is still like 53 mil guaranteed, which is, again, another record for running backs in the league. Just shout out Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, he has earned every penny of this. He is best running back in the league. He's insane. Touchdown machine. He's just going to be out with a vengeance this year again, as if he needed to. Now he's top dog. You know, he always has been, but like, you know, at times he wasn't even starting. It was Monty's backfield for a little bit, especially rookie season. Just really ecstatic for this young man. He does everything right. Seems like he does everything right on and off the field, and very deserving of being highest paid back in the league. Grid of the week.
It's definitely deserving. It's difficult because the general rule in the NFL is you don't pay running backs because you kind of just grind them to till they're down to nothing and then ship them on their way, which is a very inhumane way to treat running backs, but that's how the NFL works. But when you get one that's like Jahmyr Gibbs, it comes out of the decision. Like, do you pay him? Do you not? What do you want to do? Obviously, we're going to pay him. He's the best running back in the league, like you said. And then the way that they were able to get a team contract or a team-friendly structure with Jahmyr Gibbs, super important. The deal saves the Lions cap space in 2027 and 2028 compared to a fifth-year option and the franchise tag. We could cut him in 2029 and 2030 with like very minimal penalty, really. Like, we can basically get out from under that if we needed to, which would obviously things would have to go terribly if we're going to be cutting a guy that's one of the face of the franchise right now. But like, hey, that shit happens. So the fact that they were able to do that and there's no ill will. It kind of went on for a tiny bit long, but then they were able to get it done. I always thought that it was going to get done. I didn't think it was ever really going to get stuck there. So shout out to him, shout out to the organization, doing a great job, just keeping our boys here. I mean, we just talked about the young core. It's crazy that we're seeing so many of our young guys just get re-signed and get contracts, and it's kind of the opposite of what's happening in college football right now. Like, I don't know anyone on college football on our teams, but I know everyone's staying here in the pros, so I'm very happy for that. My grid of the week, I'm going to do a little preemptive grid of the week. I was going to give it to Scott Harris because we talked about, the kind of masterclass of him refilling the farm system. Tigers had a great farm system for many years because we were so bad. We, banked all the top the top draft picks, the Riley Greens, the Torkelsons, the Max Clarks. We hit on Kevin McGonigal, and then all these guys are starting to graduate, and he's refilling them with Zaire Hopes, with all these different guys, Bryce Rainiers. He's refilling our minor league system. So I was going to give it to Scott Harris, but I'm going to pivot a little bit. I'm going to give it to Tarik Skubal, just as like a little, hey, Tarik, take this grid of the week. Tarik Skubal went on Part of My Take this past week. They asked him about the trade deadline, about Detroit. He said, quote, I would love to play my entire career in Detroit. Hopefully those negotiations can pick back up once the playoffs are done. Hopefully they're involved with everything. I would love to return. Now, this is obviously player speak. I'm a little surprised because he doesn't have to come out and say that. Of course, he's going to come out and be cordial and be like, oh, I love Detroit time there, like, yada, yada, yada. But I feel like he almost went like a little bit farther where it's like, all right, maybe he actually does want to come back here. He mentioned it was very, very emotional for him. He talked many times in multiple different interviews. He got all teary-eyed and stuff. He said all of his best friends are here in Detroit. Obviously, he started his career here. We took the shot on him. His family's here. Tarik, take this grid of the week. Just remember us, little folks, when the time comes for you to make a new decision. Obviously, we're going to need to be involved, and like hopefully the money's there. But if the money is there, come on back. We got this great farm system now. We got the best core here in Detroit. Come join this rotation again. Come back to Detroit. Hopefully you didn't sell your place. You still got it. Come back to Detroit. We'll do our best to make sure the money is there. Come play with us. Get us that championship. It's just a little sweetener to the pot. Grid of the week's going to be Tarik Skubal.
We love Tarik. Always have, always will. That's why we said like so many times it's hard to see him leave. Like, even though it was the right move, even though the return was fair and good, still sucks. When you have the best pitcher in baseball, it's not something to be taken lightly. Definitely miss him already. It would be just so wild if they can get that done and re-sign him in the offseason. And obviously there's a bunch of other implications, a potential lockout. There's shit that's probably out of everyone's control, but that'd be so great. Get some prospects and then you just get the guy back for, I mean, not free. It'd be like $300 million, but like, shit, we got cash, man. We're not a cash poor franchise, even though like technically we're probably never going to spend as much as like the Mets or the Dodgers. Like, damn, that'd be fucking sick. Yeah. Come back home, Tarik.
I mean, we celebrated when we shipped off Jack Flaherty and then re-signed him in the offseason. Imagine doing
Pretty
that, but like thing. Times, I mean, yeah, same thing, right? But also times 10, times 15, times 20 for the best pitcher in the world. We'll start a GoFundMe. Hey, Tarik, we'll throw some cash at. We'll do what we can. We'll go buy tickets. We'll buy jerseys and stuff. Just come on back. You want to be here. Let's finish this thing together with this new farm system we have. So that's where my grid of the week's going. Shout out Jahmyr. Shout out to Tarik, both guys that One already got the Brinks truck backed up to him. The other one going to get the Brinks truck backed up to him here in Detroit here shortly. So, all right, guys, that's our show. Thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode. You can find both Kyle and I on Twitter at Kyle_Marino and myself at Dutton_Tyler. You can follow the podcast itself on Instagram or TikTok at Gridiron Report, on Twitter at Gridiron Report 1, or you can watch these full-length episodes on YouTube at Gridiron Reports. Finally, you can join the conversation next week by calling into the Gridiron Report voicemail for us to play and discuss on the podcast. That phone number is 313-306-7939. Call in, give us your thoughts on the Detroit Tigers deadline. Talk about the Lions coming up. Their season's coming up real quickly. We're going to be doing a lot of different training camp stuff coming up over the next few weeks for the Lions. So call into that voicemail. Leave us your opinions on that. If you guys like this episode, please take a moment to rate it 5 stars. Leave us a review saying so. Follow us on all forms of social media. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, y'all. Eat 'em up, Tigers.
Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retired. Gridiron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on, blast beats, thunder and loud. Champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The Gridiron Report, where the stories are proud. Tune in, bring the heat, make your fandom a vow.